Let's face it, some old horror movies are more funny than scary these days. But a few classics from the 1960s still send shivers down your spine. Here are 10 gems that have aged like fine wine, proving that true horror never goes out of style. Kwaidan, the Japanese and their uncanny knack for horror. This film is an anthology of 4 separate stories, each eerier than the last. And yet, the way each story unfolds is something to behold. Despite its chilling vibes, Kwaidan didn't rake in huge bucks, but it's worth a watch. The Curse of the Werewolf. Oliver Reed plays a cursed man named Leon, born on Christmas Day to a mute servant girl. As the plot thickens, poor Leon struggles with his inner lycanthropic tendencies, which get activated by the full moon and love. Surprisingly, this wasn't a major hit, which I reckon is a shame. City of the Dead. A young college student named Nan visits the town of Whitewood to research witchcraft, only to discover it's, quite literally, a hub for witches. These witches aren't looking to just cast harmless spells. They want sacrifices for eternal life. The Innocents. Miss Giddens becomes a governess for 2 orphan children at a sprawling English estate. However, things get weird. She becomes convinced the estate is haunted by the spirits of the former governess and her lover, and what's more, they're possessing the kids. The question looms, is she right, or is she losing her grip on reality? Black Sunday. A witch named Asa Vaida is put to death by her brother in Moldavia, only to swear revenge. Fast forward 2 centuries later, when 2 doctors happen upon her tomb, inadvertently resurrecting her. As she returns, she's hungry for revenge and out for the blood of her look-alike descendant. Carnival of Souls. Mary survives a car accident and decides to start afresh as a church organist in Utah. But fresh starts aren't easy, especially when you're being stalked by a creepy, pale-faced man and drawn to an abandoned carnival. The eerie organ music, the desolate pavilion, and that persistent ghoulish man. It's unsettling to the core. The Haunting. Dr. Markway, an investigator of the supernatural, gathers a group to explore Hill House, a place with a dark history of death and insanity. As they spend nights there, terrifying events unfold, targeting the vulnerable Eleanor. The Witch's Mirror. Sarah, a kind witch, predicts the death of her adopted daughter Elena's husband at the hands of another woman. After the prediction comes true, Sarah uses her magical mirror to exact revenge on the murderer, leading to some bizarre and terrifying events, including a series of supernatural deaths. You'd think a witch with a vendetta would be a sellout, but this film stayed relatively low-key. Eyes Without a Face. After a car accident disfigures his daughter's face, a desperate doctor kidnaps young women to graft their faces onto his daughters. Sounds pretty horrifying, right? But also, it's strangely poetic and deeply sad. This French film masterfully mixes the macabre with the melancholic. The House That Screamed. Set in an all-girls boarding school in France, there's a dark undertone from the very beginning. Headmistress is a strict disciplinarian and keeps a tight leash on her students, all while sheltering her teenage son from them. But here's where things get twisted. Girls start disappearing from the school without a trace. It's not just the creaky wooden floors and ancient architecture that gives this place an eerie vibe. Something truly sinister is at play. Who's behind the string of disappearances?